Welcome, everybody, to the Monday, May 5th Select Board meeting. Will you join me in saying the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up, Brian, you have the Miss General Fund warrant.
Sure do. All right, general fund warrant dated. let's See, May 5th, 2025. So today, the grand total is $89,642.42. Again, items of note, as usual. Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Insurance is just about 40% of that, so just shy of 35,000. Then we had 10,000 for guardrails, which is about 12%, and a number of other much smaller items. So I would make a motion that we pass the general fund warrant as presented for $89,642.42.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Amanda, I think I gave you the payroll warrants.
Yes. I have the payroll warrant for April 25th in the amount of $45,407.46. And this is larger due to the end of the month retirement reconciliation. And I also have the payroll for May 2nd in the amount of $27,447.03. I make a motion that we approve these payroll warrants.
Second.
All in favor?
All that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Stepping on your toes, dude.
And Jack, you have a couple of 3, 4
Yeah.
miscellaneous ones.
First one's the Stonehouse warrant. And what's this all about? Music arts? What is
That's
it?
the new speaker system. Yeah.
Oh, okay. For $7,373.44.
They're like first speakers. First bill.
And I have an industrial park warrant for $385. Is that some engineering or something? Champlain
That's the,
Associates?
is that pump? Oh, monthly maintenance.
Okay. And infrastructure development warrant, out on a limb tree service.
For the cutting the tree in the old town hall.
Okay, Lafayette Highway, whatever that, what's that, 20?
That's the guard.
Oh, the guardrails, okay. And ASC Northeast for 10,000. What is that one?
ASC Northeast.
I'll figure it out.
That was at the Sash. I see them all. But they're a lot.
Forward design and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that for what?
That's the Sash.
Okay. Anyway. It all adds up $31,989.04. So I move we approve these. Oh, 3 warrants, and I got another one hidden behind. For $1,092.50 stormwater utility warrant with some credit card stuff and cross consulting. So again, I move we approve the warrants as presented.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So that AES was the final invoice for the Route 7 South sidewalk.
Oh, AES, please, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the Jude, yeah.
Call for a vote on them.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
think you did.
You did.
Did I?
Yeah.
I said I did.
I think you did. I say you did.
It's on video if we need to check it out.
Check it out.
Stand
Read
replay.
it back.
Okay, so in your packet, you have your minutes from April 21st. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public comment. Would anybody in the audience like to come up for David coming up today? No. Anybody on Zoom like to make a public comment? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move forward. Would somebody make a motion to recess the select board meeting and convene as the liquor control board?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Okay. So this is dated May 5th, and we have 7 licenses. I'll just read them off. For the Elks Lodge, we have a first class, third class, and outside consumption. Pie in the Sky has a first class license. The American Legion has a first class license, outside consumption, and third class license, and I would assume, Anna, that there's no issues. Those, thank you. So having said that, would somebody like to make a motion to approve those 7 licenses?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay. Somebody make a motion to close the liquor control board meeting and reconvene as the select board.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Thank you. So we'll only have the one appointment for the planning commission, just David. Okay, so David Bray wants to fill the unexpired 3-year term left by Amanda Headley. So would somebody make a motion to appoint David Bray to the planning commission
So moved.
for that term?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Welcome to the planning commission.
Start
Thank you.
planning.
Commissioner.
Mhm.
Okay. Town manager.
Yes, we have 2, we're calling them cell coverage projects, coming up in the town. First up, we have, Will Dodge to talk about it's not really new infrastructure, but correct me if I'm wrong, Will, I believe, yeah. It's kind of putting infrastructure on top of existing poles. up in the
Correct.
town.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, if you'd like to just kind of discuss. the
Sure.
project.
Sure. Thank you, Celia, and thank you, Mr. Chair. So my name is Will Dodge. I'm an attorney at Downs Rockland Martin, representing AT&T. I have Vin Paquette, who's with Centerline Communications and does the site acquisition. I think that I sent around, or I think you have in your package the letter that I sent on Thursday with a bunch of exhibits, but I think in some ways, if it's okay to share, I think it's easiest with a picture to explain what it is that we're doing.
Yeah, they've got the picture in their packets, right? Yeah, the letter.
They do. So just briefly, a small cell project is different from a kind of a traditional cell tower project, if you will, in that you're not creating new cell phone coverage as much as you are handling kind of like a traffic or a capacity issue. So if there's a place, especially in public areas where there's a lot of activity, either a lot of cars or a lot of people, you can sometimes have trouble that even though you see that you've got coverage, your phone's just not working the way that you expect to, and that's because of all the competition for getting those signals onto other existing towers. Small cells are a way to basically redirect that traffic and make sure that your coverage is reliable even where there's high volume. And so there's a lot of places around both St. Albans Town and the city of St. Albans where AT&T's determined it would be helpful to have those, what we call the small cells, and which really are putting in antennas and antenna operating equipment on either existing poles or replaced poles. So in this case, the 2 sites that we're looking at for 569 Lake Road and 200 Industrial Park Road are instances in which there's Green Mountain Power poles that are already basically having electrical distribution, fiber optic, and what we're doing is replacing those poles with slightly higher ones in order to put the antennas on them. And so I'll just share my screen, for example. I don't think that we have an example of any AT&T sites up in in St. Albans just yet, but to give you an idea of a couple in Chittenden County, let's see, give me 1 second. So this is from Google Earth Street View, and this is kind of near where I live in Essex Junction. This is Susie Wilson Road, which is a pretty, dense commercial stretch. And you can see that this pole right here has one of these CRAN projects. So you've got an antenna at the top, right? I kind of joke that it looks a little bit like those yogurt push-ups that those of you who were around in the 80s or 90s used to experience. That antenna is basically, like I say, directing traffic. The other feature on the pole is that you've got this box, right? These operating boxes that's sitting above the ground. And so it's pretty self-contained. So once you have that installation, that's all there is to it. There's fiber still coming in. It's still being used for electrical distribution. But basically, the reason you replace the pole is to get something a little weightier or a little stronger than what you have before. This is another kind of very similar CRAN site. This is right outside of Champlain College, right? So you can see College is over there. This is Maple Street in Burlington, and kind of the same thing. The antenna sits on top. In this particular case, there was a Cobra head attached to the pole, and you can't see it with these trees, but the operating equipment is basically behind the trees. So in the case of these facilities, the coverage or the area where we should see some service improvement, at least for the one on Lake Road, just to briefly show you, right, is kind of this area, basically right, not surprisingly, right at Georgia Shore and Lake and right at St. Albans Park. That's where, whoops, sorry, I'm not sharing that. You can see it now. This is kind of the area where people are receiving service complaints. And so by putting it right here, we're going to improve the service along that area. And then the other one is really in the industrial park, right? Even though this is kind of right on the edge of one of the parts of the industrial park, it'll make for service improvements through the whole, or at least a good section of the park. The facility itself, we have approval from Green Mountain Power to move forward with this. So they've done all the make-ready work. We do a scope of work that makes sure that structurally the new pole is able to accommodate everything, both the cables and wires that are there today, as well as the new antenna equipment. In terms of RF emissions, it complies with the FCC standards and is not posing any kind of risk for human health. And then in terms of the permitting on this, that was what kind of led to this. Was we looked at it and figured out that this is not subject to Act 250, and it's also very complicated if we try to go through the Public Utility Commission process. And that's just because the PUC has interpreted these, what I call pole replacements, that if it's even slightly higher, that kind of counts like a new cell tower. So what we decided is what makes the most sense here is not to go through the PUC, but to come directly to the town to talk. We did that, and we were advocating that, that this could be approved as what's called a de minimis project, since there's nothing in the zoning ordinance today that directly gets at an installation like this. But you do have, and we do intend, subject to any questions or concerns tonight, that when we're ready to go, which will be later this year, we'll file those right-of-way permit applications with the town for each of the 2 sites and run through the process that way. And we're going to do something similar for the city, or we're still kind of working through that with the city, but I think there's 4 sites in the city that we're going to separately seek approval for.
Is that like the same thing as like a cantenna? Is it the same type of installation? Cantenna? Am I getting that off? Am I off base with that word?
Antenna sounds like the name of a rock band, but so I guess I don't know really what you're
So I
referring
don't, yeah, I don't know.
And what did you say the timeline is?
to. Later this year is basically what we know. So sometime in the fall. It's going to depend on a bunch of things, on AT&T getting a contractor, having them ready to go. Obviously, we need to make sure that things are squared away with the city as well. So the idea is that we do city and town all at once.
Yeah, can I ask a question? Have any of these ever been denied anywhere? And if they have, what grounds?
The only time they've ever been denied, so at least within Vermont that I know of, because I know the ones that we've worked on, they've never really been denied as much as sometimes there have been concerns because they might be located in a historic district, and there's still some restrictions, more like at the federal level and through the Division for Historic Preservation around that. But barring that, no, I don't think any of them have ever been denied.
Thank you.
Good. Any more
Anybody have
questions?
any questions? More questions?
Okay.
Do we need a motion or is that,
It's really just general support for it.
Just, okay.
Yeah. So as long as there's no,
Yeah, I think we talked about it
Objections or-
multiple times that
Mhm.
cell phone coverage down
Yeah.
this area.
Yep.
could I ask a question on that? And I heard you say it doesn't so much as, I don't know, broaden the reception. What would I notice if I'm down here, with my cell phone once these go up? What difference would I notice?
if you have.
Well,
any-
sometimes it might be that you've got your phone and it shows that you have service, but when you're trying to load a web page, it's just spooling or nothing's happening. It's not going anywhere. And that might be because if there's tons of people like down at the beach or, at the restaurant, everybody's experiencing the same thing. I think a place where a lot of people have experienced this is up in Stowe. And in Stowe, they have a series of these CRAN or small cell sites precisely because you're all driving up to the mountain resort. Everyone's using their phone for everything. And it was just getting hung because there's not enough capacity, let's say up on Mount Mansfield, to handle all that traffic, or with Mount Mansfield and the other cell phone towers in the area.
Gotcha. So it won't expand coverage, just makes it,
Not
stronger.
really. It boosts it a little bit, but it's basically to make sure that that things should be working as intended and that things are not getting hung up just because you got too many users.
Yeah, and just one more for me. I've got Verizon. Would I notice anything or is it just AT&T?
Nope. For this one, it's just AT&T. Verizon may come through with their own at some point. That often happens, right? So you'll notice like places in Burlington that you'll see maybe in one given area, multiple of those small cell antennas on different poles, and that's because it's a different provider on each pole.
I have a question. So, you talked about internet usage. What about phone calls? So like I could make a call like at town hall and then it'll just cut off for no reason. I didn't walk around the
Yep.
building or anything. Will it help with that?
It will, yeah, it should. It should basically, it's the exact same thing. So in other words, whether your phone's going through as a traditional phone call or as voice over IP, that's what it's designed to handle. It's just all that data, all those calls coming through. So you should see a difference. And town hall is certainly another, another area that I think gets covered a lot better by this. And that's also, I think, where probably it could be youth that's experiencing the service issues, and somebody called it in, or AT&T's noticing that, and so wants to get that addressed.
A good segue into our next project, unless you guys have any more questions.
I'm good.
No
Thank you.
further questions from me.
Thank you, Will.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, I said that was a good segue because this next project is more so like a partnership between the town and Vito and Hunter Pride doesn't want me to say this. I was gonna say and the state, because Hunter Thompson is with the state. And it's really played a big part in this. The next project, which the company is gonna come to our May 19th meeting because we still have some numbers to hash out with them. Because kind of like this is us spearheading some extension of cell service into the bay, which is the map that you guys have. We're not making it public yet until we obviously get everything hashed out. But it will extend cell service for the sole purpose of into the bay. Right now, The proposed site is actually on our own property here, which will be tucked into the trees to minimize any visual, impediments or anything like that. It'd be under 50 feet, so it doesn't, kind of trigger any review from the state. And yeah, and right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Hunter, I think they said, oops, excuse me. T-Mobile and AT&T, oh yeah, are under review with the potential for other companies to also tap into that tower. So none of that's official. It's just we're working through it. Then I'll let Hunter kind of expand upon that unless you guys have any questions that you'd like to kickstart it with. No. Anything you'd like to add, Hunter?
Oh, thank you, Sean. There's really not much. That covered it. Just so you know, I'm Hunter Thompson. I'm the Director of Telecommunications for the Public Service Department. We were approached by Al Vogel about a year and a half ago, for assistance with expanding coverage down towards the bay. So we've been offering up some technical assistance and our expertise. And, as Sean said, we had been working with VTEL for the past few weeks, and they are getting some more firm numbers together. And I think they're going to have a presentation to bring forward. The 19th is the next meeting, right? So the 19th.
I told Al we would dedicate the cell tower to him.
Yeah. Whatever happens, we'll have to dedicate it to Al.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. We had hoped they were going to attend today, which is why I talked to them today. Me and Hunter did, but we want to get some more things finalized before we make any more public details and stuff. So
that one would expand coverage.
yeah, even though this is a teaser to the public, but that map that you have is their prediction of the expansion of the cell coverage. So, and there's a possibility of more companies, more of the big players to come in and tap into it, but as we all know, that takes a little bit, so because it's regulated. So yeah. Any more questions for Hunter? And a big thank you to Hunter, because this is my first foray into cell tower expansion. So he's been a great big help. Thank you. Thank you very much. Question? Okay. Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you.
The rest of my, what am I kidding? I'm gonna skip. Is our resolution of gratitude and appreciation for our, do I say you're retired yet? Tired? DPW Director, Dave Allerton. And I'll go ahead and read it, I suppose. Resolution of appreciation to David Allerton for outstanding dedication and service to public works in the town of St. Albans. Whereas David Allerton has served an invaluable presence as the Director of Public Works for the town of St. Albans, Vermont, since he was hired in October 2022. He stepped into unique challenges to lead the department for the town, of which he and his wife raised their 2 children and lived in for decades. And whereas Dave continuously and tirelessly worked to leverage and stretch every taxpayer dollar responsibly into countless grant awards to complete necessary and forward-thinking projects. And whereas Dave personally created guidelines and procedures that will ensure that the town and public works will operate successfully into the future based on the foundation that he laid. And whereas Dave empowered his crew to maximize their capabilities in all areas, disciplines, and fields, expanding the town DPW skill set to a higher level. And whereas the town of St. Albans is grateful to have benefited from Dave's 40+ year career that has spanned from places such as Colorado to Panama and beyond, where he made similar contributions. And therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the members of the town of St. Albans Selectboard, on behalf of our entire community, commend Dave Allerton for his service and wonderful career and contributions to the town. We will forever appreciate your expertise, professionalism, selflessness, and that all those aspects left the town of St. Albans in a better place. We wish you a long and healthy retirement for you to spend with your wonderful wife, Sarah, and children, Ellen and Thomas. Now you make a speech. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Speech.
Thank you, David.
If you'd like to.
If you would, for posterity's sake.
You
Good to sign this? Do we need to vote on it?
can sign it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've definitely enjoyed my time working in here. We've done a lot of good projects. We've pulled people together. Like Sean said, we did manage to get some money in here to help us all out. And hopefully, getting all those grants in here will lay the foundation for the next group to continue getting those grants for more projects. So I'm proud of the work we've done here. I've seen a lot of progress, and I'm proud to say that I worked here and kind of helped out in the town. So.
Me
And
too.
I know the guys are definitely proud of the work that they've been doing too. So that's a good thing too. And, we really haven't lost anybody out there for a couple of years. So that tells me something that things are going right with the crew. So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm not leaving town. I'm still around.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
We know where you live. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, just
Thank you, Dave.
personally, Dave, as a new town manager, to have you in that role, since I came in, was very helpful. Beyond helpful. So thank you. All righty. Lastly. Yeah, it's just Act 250 for Malone. Yep. Feel like we have a ton of those. Yeah, it's just the same thing for 75 Swan Road. Like, this is the umpteenth Act 250 informational thing for the development out there. So
It's a streamlined process.
yes, it's fair enough. I appreciate that comment. And lastly, just kind of a little tidbit, positive tidbit. We've already surpassed our last year's sponsorship fundraising for the events in the park this year. We did a revamped sponsorship tier system and just kind of approached it in a little bit of a refreshed way this year. So we've we have at least 2 or 3 new top level, like platinum tier sponsors this year. We've kind of reached out, and we have others, but new ones. And obviously that's a significant investment. And a lot of good feedback on the new Bash at the Bay event. So yeah, things are moving in the groove. End of my report.
Perfect. Okay, having said that, anybody have any other business?
Just executive session.
So the next select board meeting is Monday, May 19th, and Monday, June 2nd. We'll start
Oh.
at 6:30. Whoa,
Sorry, I skipped the public hearing.
get back to town manager.
Sorry. You can put it in
Oh,
next
yeah.
meetings too. Sorry. Public hearing for the our planning commission bylaw amendments on the 19th at 6:30. Any questions you have in the meantime, you can forward them to me or Megan Sherland.
And all that info, everything it's on the website, is that
Yep.
right? All the information for it?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Having said that, would somebody like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a contractual matter where premature general public knowledge of the subject matter would place the town at a substantial disadvantage? Further move to enter into executive session to discuss a contractual matter under the provision of Title I, Section 313A1 of the Vermont statutes, and to invite the town manager. I'll make that motion.
Second that.
All in favor?
Hi.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.